And now it's time to introduce Holly Taylor, who is Senior Manager, Projects and Partnerships with the Energy Efficiency Council. Holly leads the Council's projects and partnerships work, facilitating engagement with members, partners and stakeholders and connecting them with all aspects of the Council's programs. She focuses on strategic projects that build the market for energy management by driving ambitious government policy and supporting business decision-making and growth. Holly has worked internationally with private and public sector clients that work on innovative solutions to tackle climate change. While in Europe, she worked with the UN and CDP. Most recently in the UK, Holly worked with a team that serviced English local authorities, facilitating the development and delivery of carbon management plans through the use of energy efficiency and renewable energy installations. Today, Holly will be speaking to how rolling out a council-wide energy efficiency strategy can help stimulate local economies. Thanks, Holly.
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. So as David's just mentioned, I'm here today to talk to you about how rolling out council-wide energy efficiency strategies can help stimulate local economies. But before I do, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the many lands on which we are virtually meeting today. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. So why am I here today? Well, I work for the Energy Efficiency Council, Australia's industry association for energy management, energy efficiency and demand response. We represent businesses, not-for-profits, universities and governments around the country, including local governments, by advocating for building a sophisticated market for energy management products and services. A strong energy management market is important as it delivers healthy, comfortable buildings, productive, competitive businesses, and an affordable, reliable and sustainable energy system for Australia. I spend most of my time working with business groups and governments, including councils that run the National City Switch program, to support businesses with lowering their energy bills and reducing their emissions by improving their energy efficiency and energy management. That is, actively managing energy usage to reduce consumption and bills while still achieving the same or sometimes even better outcomes. The simplest way to explain energy efficiency is by switching your old light bulbs to LED, which can use up to 90% less electricity with the same quality of light, or sometimes even better. But energy efficiency doesn't just reduce our energy bills. Energy efficiency upgrades to our buildings and industrial processes are a low-cost way to reduce emissions, whilst also enabling us to live more comfortable lives, run more productive businesses, create jobs, pull our economy out of its current malaise, which is particularly acute for me here in a locked-down Melbourne. And importantly, energy efficiency and demand response alongside storage will enable the reliability of our electricity grid as it transitions to ever higher penetrations of variable renewable energy like solar and wind, which, as we've heard today, is chugging along very nicely. So, how can councils realise the multiple benefits of energy efficiency? Simply put, they can develop an energy strategy. While there are many different components to a successful energy strategy, if there is one thing that I want you to take away from my presentation today, it's that setting up a revolving energy efficiency fund is the best way for your council to realise the multiple benefits of energy efficiency. I advocate for councils as well as government agencies and businesses to set up a ring-fenced or revolving energy efficiency fund because I've seen them work wonders in the UK. Before I joined the Energy Efficiency Council, I worked for an organisation in the UK called Salix Finance, where I worked directly with local councils on developing and delivering their energy management plans, otherwise known as an energy strategy. There are two ways in which councils roll out energy efficiency upgrades. The first is by undertaking ad hoc energy efficiency upgrades as funding is available, and the second is by setting up a revolving energy efficiency fund where the financial savings from energy efficiency upgrades are returned to the fund and used for additional upgrades. Invariably, the councils with revolving energy efficiency funds achieve more financial and carbon savings than those that operate on a more ad hoc basis. As an example, Kent County Council in the south of England has both a co-funded £680,000 revolving energy efficiency fund for upgrades to its buildings, which it's used 3 times over, and the council also undertook a £40 million street lighting upgrade program, which was co-funded by Salix and included the conversion of 120,000 street lights to LED, as well as pole replacements and a central management system for those street lights, which effectively enables the lighting to be dimmed and turned on and off at will. This alone is saving Kent £5 million each year. The Revolving Energy Efficiency Fund reinvests the savings into future energy efficiency projects, whereas the savings from the huge street lighting project are being used directly to improve playgrounds and recreational facilities across Kent. Importantly, Salix provides interest-free finance from the UK government to public sector bodies like councils to undertake energy efficiency upgrades. This, of course, makes it a little easier for councils to establish a revolving energy efficiency fund. While such a program doesn't exist in Australia, this shouldn't stop councils from forging ahead with setting up their own revolving energy efficiency funds so that they can start realising the financial and other benefits sooner rather than later. But don't worry, like Helen and many of the other speakers today, my colleagues and I at the Energy Efficiency Council will continue to advocate for our state and federal governments to provide ongoing centralised support to councils and government agencies here in Australia for both energy efficiency and renewables upgrades. But by waiting for such a program to be rolled out, councils are missing the opportunity that energy efficiency provides today. So, turning to how rolling out council-wide energy efficiency strategies can help stimulate local economies, how does investing in energy efficiency create jobs? Well, the International Energy Agency recently stated that energy efficiency is a jobs machine, and the data backs the claim up, with energy efficiency in buildings topping the charts in a recent report on sustainable recovery and energy-related stimulus options by the International Energy Agency and the International Monetary Fund. Importantly, according to the International Energy Agency, for investment measures, energy efficiency in buildings and industry, together with solar PV, create the most jobs per $1 million of investment. On average, these three measures create between 10 to 15 jobs for every $1 million, every $1 million US invested. Here in Australia, we've also run the numbers, and a major drive to improve the energy efficiency of buildings and industry could deliver over 120,000 job years of employment beyond zero emissions. And indeed, the Climate Council have also released favourable jobs estimates from energy efficiency upgrades in the wake of coronavirus. And a major push to upgrade Australia's buildings has been backed in by everyone from the Australian Council of Social Service to the Business Council of Australia. However, energy efficiency isn't just a jobs machine. It makes our buildings more comfortable and our businesses more resilient to economic shocks. It also eases energy bill stress, which is more acute for households, especially vulnerable ones, as we spend more time at home. And it's a low-cost way to reduce emissions to boot. Indeed, according to the International Energy Agency, energy efficiency will get us 40% of the way to net zero. For councils, setting up a revolving energy efficiency fund will best enable the achievement of these multiple benefits. So what does this all mean for local communities? Well, effective council-wide energy strategies should combine both council facilities upgrades and programs to support local businesses and households. When councils invest in improving the energy efficiency of their own operations and facilities, they enable additional investment in their own services by unlocking access to more money that can be used to support the local economy. Noting this, councils can support energy efficiency in their communities in two ways. The first is setting up a revolving energy efficiency fund for upgrades to council facilities. And the second is providing grants and other support to businesses and households to improve their energy efficiency. Upgrading council facilities, including offices, libraries, aquatic centres and street lighting, enables councils to free up their budgets from onerous energy bills and reinvest the financial savings in public facilities. Indeed, in the case of a revolving energy efficiency fund, once the original capital is returned to the fund for future energy upgrades, councils can use the remaining savings to stimulate local economies, like by offering training programs or grants for local businesses. In particular, the savings can be used for supporting businesses and households with improving their own energy efficiency, freeing up cash to reinvest in their businesses and local communities and creating local jobs at the same time. As an example closer to home, Orange City Council in central New South Wales is leading the way and currently upgrading over 2,000 fluorescent lights to LED across 17 council buildings. This is going to save the council almost $170,000 each year in electricity savings, as well as $34,000 in maintenance costs. These upgrades will also reduce carbon emissions by 740 tonnes per annum, or the equivalent of 100 homes' annual carbon footprints. And importantly, as these upgrades are taking place in New South Wales, which, like Victoria, South Australia and the ACT, has an incentive scheme for energy efficiency upgrades, Orange City Council's bill for these upgrades is only $180,000. And that means that the upgrades will be paid for in little more than a year. This is just one example of many, and I would encourage you to tap into the Cities Power Partnership Network to learn about other examples of council energy efficiency upgrades. So, if the savings are so significant, how can councils get their ratepayers on side for investments in super sensible, but not very sexy, upgrades to lighting, air conditioning and appliances? Well, the key is to turn the invisible visible. In particular, while energy efficiency isn't as sexy as solar panel on roofs or as obvious as wind turbines sitting on rolling hills, it's just as important. To counteract this lack of visibility, many councils in the UK use the energy savings from energy efficiency upgrades to improve parks, playgrounds and other public facilities, helping attract new businesses and jobs to the area. Some councils also use the savings to support local businesses and households to improve their own energy use, making them more resilient to economic upheaval and easing bill shock. Importantly, these councils actively advertise these facilities have been upgraded with the financial savings generated from energy efficiency improvements. And as ratepayers actually use local government facilities like libraries and public pools, they can see the non-financial benefits and are supportive of continuous investment in energy efficiency. So, as I mentioned earlier, I would encourage all Australian councils to explore setting up a revolving energy efficiency fund. This will enable councils to realise continuous improvement, slashing energy bills, creating jobs and tackling climate change all at once. I implore you to get in contact with Cities Power Partnership and the Energy Efficiency Council for support with developing an energy strategy and implementing energy efficiency upgrades to council facilities. I also encourage you to get in touch with City Switch to learn about how you can better support local businesses with improving their energy efficiency. And if I can leave you with just one final thought, it's that the cleanest, cheapest source of energy is the energy you don't use at all. Energy efficiency is key to unlocking 40% of the savings necessary to realising net zero. And alongside renewable energy and sustainable transport, it's integral to enabling a just transition for our local communities.
Thanks, Holly. That's a great case for energy efficiency. Does Australia currently have the expertise and workforce needed to roll out energy efficiency measures at scale, the sort of scale we want to see them being rolled out, or do we really need to allow time and effort for education and training in this area?
So it's fair to say that the workforce size for people working in energy efficiency is smaller than the workforce size for people working in renewables, and that's due to the level of investment. However, there are a bucket load of engineers in this country, there are a bucket load of tradespeople that can quickly upskill to learn the skills that they need to be able to contribute to this transition. And importantly, some of this stuff is really easy. It's a case of going into our homes and going into our buildings and changing the lighting to LED. That's relatively simple to do. So overall, in terms of a skills shortage, we're not particularly concerned, but by the same token, the Energy Efficiency Council works quite closely with the state governments around the country and the federal government on ensuring that we are upskilling the energy efficiency workforce so that they can perform the transition that we need to with our economy.
Thanks. One of the chestnuts of energy efficiency around the world, I think, has been the challenge is retrofitting of existing housing stock. You know, many jurisdictions have tried. It's often seen as being quite tricky and expensive to do. Are you seeing advances in that field in particular, or have suggestions about how to make that more effective?
So it's funny that you say that. Effectively, during this COVID scenario, we've seen people doing a run on Bunnings to do upgrades to their own homes. So for owner-occupiers, there's definitely been an investment in things like insulation because they're actually at home during the day and realising how crappy, quite frankly, our houses are here in Australia. And because of that, they want to do things like put insulation in their bodies and in their homes. And overall, we're definitely seeing a movement and a transition, especially because of coronavirus, as people are aware of just how badly insulated their buildings are.
Yeah. And you obviously made a strong case for a revolving energy efficiency fund, and I know certainly some of CPP councils have done that. Blue Mountains in particular, I know, has a revolving energy efficiency fund. Do you have any comment on alternative models like environmental upgrade agreements? I know certainly they've been around in the market for a while now for commercial buildings, but I understand that there's sort of moves afoot as well to make them available for residential in the not too distant future. Any thoughts on those as a model, or that as a model?
So broadly, the difference between a revolving fund, you would set that up for just council operations,
right,
whereas environmental upgrade agreements effectively enable the local council to support local businesses. And they enable, in particular, tenants in buildings to improve the quality of the building in which they're paying for the electricity bills, but they don't actually own the building. And they're really, really useful because we do have that perverse outcome of the people that are paying for the bills don't actually own the building. So I would wholeheartedly support councils to look into setting up environmental upgrade agreements if they don't already have them. My understanding is that all of the Victorian councils do, and part of South Australia and New South Wales do. But if we could roll that out across the country, environmental upgrade agreements would severely help office tenancies in particular with improving their energy efficiency and lowering their energy bills.
So what we really need is a combination of that revolving fund for councils, and then some mechanisms like EUAs to help roll those initiatives out more broadly across the community, it sounds like.
Yep, it's definitely really important that we both look at the actual council's costs. We need our councils to lead. They're the governments with which we have the most connection, that we actually use, and we want to see that leadership so that we as a community can go, yep, this is doable, we can achieve this. But by the same token, councils don't actually have that large of an energy consumption, but their local industry does. So they need to be able to support local businesses and households with reducing their energy consumption.
Well, thanks, Holly. We're out of time now, but thanks for presenting the case for energy efficiency today.